Hello everybody, Troublesome Twins 829 here, or Karen Wolf as some of you on DeviantArt know, and I'm going to give you guys a little tutorial on how I draw. Since I'm not very well known among the art community, this tutorial was actually requested by some friends of mine. Now, there's a lot of different ways to draw. As you can see, I've already got something set up here. I'm going to work in the style that is most comfortable to me, which is a semi-realistic style. So, we are going to begin. I've already gotten some references out, but we're going to do a brand new reference for this drawing, which is actually going to be a character of mine.
Now you start out with a circle. I'm going to speed up most of this. Start out with a circle. Does not have to be a perfect circle. Nothing has to be perfect here. And we're going to do a 3/4 view, which means it is not centered, and it is not completely to the side either. But it makes it a lot easier to draw with, meaning you have a lot more control. And we're going to start with the eyes. Usually people start with shaping the head. I'm going to do a little bit of that actually. I'm going to shape the head a bit. But usually people shape the head and they just start from there and they don't do the eyes until the very last minute. And I gotta tell you, it's not a great way to do that. I start out with the eyes. I've always started out with the eyes. So I'm gonna zoom a little bit and we're gonna do the eyes. You can do the eyes a bunch of different ways. This is just gonna be some basic eyes. You can make your eyes really big and boxy, which is what you need to do here. If you have shoujo eyes, you're gonna want them big and boxy to compensate for the amount of eyelash. If you're gonna do shonen eyes, you're gonna want them long and narrow. But this is gonna be a basic eye. I don't usually follow that reference. So I'm going to time lapse the eye structure, and we're going to outline the face a bit more, and I'll get back to you in a bit. Alright, welcome back. As you can see, I have outlined the entirety of the face, and I've left a little space here on the ear. You can do pretty much anything you want with the ear. You can make it as detailed and realistic as you want. I just like a simple little curve and a swoop. That's what I call it. Now, hair can be a little bit more difficult. Let me just give her a little gentle little smile. And some defining features. Defining features can be anything from a scar to maybe a little curve on the nose or a mole, but this character's got a little something else. Just little dashes under the eyes, nothing major. Now, when doing the hair, especially with incredibly unique hair, you can go absolutely crazy if you want, but I do not recommend going too crazy because the more detailed, the worse it is. This person's hair design is actually pretty simple. I start out doing a little line here above the left eye, and I expand as a bit of a V, and then I bring it down like a bird. And there's a little hook there. And, I'm going to make her hair a little long. I don't usually like doing short hair characters, but we're going to make her hair a little long, so just some flare out here to let you know exactly how long it's going to get. These are not the individual strands, it's just an outline for how long you want it to be. Maybe some little parts on the ears. This is very common, especially in shonen manga and shoujo. This helps you better define your characters and gives them a bit more personality. And if you hate drawing ears like I do, it helps cover them up. Very much so. Alright, I'm going to skip through here and get back to you in a bit.
Alright, as you can see, I did a little bit more defining here. I added the neck and the collarbones. They don't usually stick out that much on people, but with manga you usually need to define them a little bit more. Now, if you get rid of the underlying layer, you can see the actual image itself. I deleted a bit of the hair and I'm not too happy with the way it looks, so you can always go back and fix that, especially on a paint tool program. I would have done this tutorial on paper, but it is really hard to erase on paper, especially when you are not holding the pencil right. But I'm going to do the other two views as a time lapse so you can see how they're done, and keep in mind this will be the exact same character both times. And let us begin.
Human, and you can do it in a variety of styles. This one is actually a little bit cartoonish, but I usually work in a semi-realistic style, such as for animals. The same rules apply for humans as animals, birds, weapons, pretty much anything. I'm going to walk you through the 3/4 view on the animals, just as I did the humans, and the same for the profile view of the birds. I don't have a 3/4 view here because it is exceedingly difficult to accomplish, especially on your first try. So we're going to get started on the animals, and we're going to do something, say, I don't know, something popular like a wolf, maybe? You want to start out with the sketching of the ears. A lot of people just go for the muzzle straight off. I like going for the ears. It is a little bit more defining if you go to the ears first as well as the eyes. You definitely want to box out the eyes first. Because if you know where the eyes are, you know about how big or how long the muzzle's going to be. Let's give him, oh, I don't know. Let's give him a box. Boxes are very good. You want boxes. Usually people do circles or squares. I do boxes. a little bit like a cat for a while. That's because we need to redo a lot of the sketching to make him look more like a wolf instead of a cat. Now, you notice this little curve I just gave him. That will come in handy a lot later. Let's make his nose a little bit more up. A little triangle there. And we're ready to start sketching. Go on the neck. Okay. And instead of starting with the eyes this time, you have to start with the nose. Again, if you know where the nose is, you can know where anything is. So let's zoom in and get started. Alright, now that we've got the muzzle and the eyes done, we can get started on the fur. Do not start on the ears yet. Start over here on the farthest side, from the eye, trace a bit of an invisible line from the eye to this little mark here, and start making little tufts of fur. And that there is the defining feature of extra fur. You're going to need a little bit more down here because, well, you know, he's facing a different direction. But you start up here, it looks like the middle of the ear, but trust me, it's not. Take wide, swooping angles and small little tufts to make it stick out more, but do not go in. If you go in, it's going to look weird. It's going to look more like a cat. Just keep going down, and maybe swoop in over here. This is going to give your wolf a more defining feature, or your animal in general. Now we can start moving on to the ears. Again, trace an invisible line from this eyebrow all the way up to the top of the head, and make a flat curve right at the top. Do not follow your outline. Your outline will lie to you more often than not. When you get started on the ears, especially the farthest one, you need to tilt it just right to where it looks slightly pointed but slightly not. Go down about halfway and then start adding fur. And when you get down to the head again, add more, same as with the other side. Now doing the tops of the insides of the ears is a little bit more difficult. Usually people just do this and call it a day. We're going to do something a little bit more realistic. Okay, we're going to start here about a third of the way through, draw an invisible line of the invisible curve all the way to the top, and make a nice, thin, narrow margin, and start adding fur about halfway down. Same on the other side. Now this will look more realistic, more wolf-like. Now we're doing the same thing on this side, and since it's more facing towards us, it'll be a little bit easier to do. And voila! That there is a 3/4 view of a wolf. Now we're going to do the front view and the side view of the same animal. Yeah, same animal. And I will get back to you in a bit. Just letting you know, though, a front view on a wolf and side views are very, very different. So I'm going to get back to you after I finish up the sketching and walk you through them both. Here between the wolves and the humans, particularly in the forehead factor. This is true for all animals. They have a smaller skull than we do. At least forehead-wise. They don't have as much of a thinking power as humans do, so that part of the brain is a little bit... I'm going to walk you through the profile first because that one is a little bit easier. And again, you want to start with the nose, but this time I'm going to start with the eyes. Again, a definitive factor of the character. And eyes are very simple to do. You can do anything with them. Literally thousands of combinations. So there we go. There's the eye and the eyebrow. Now, again, we're not going to completely follow the outline reference. We're going to just go that around the way and just swoop down a ways, stop about here before you get to the nose, and add a little bit of a hump, because the noses stick out more than you think they stick out. Now, as for the muzzle down here for the jaw, usually people do a little bit of a skeletal reference. They have that, a line where the jawbone is, but I don't do that because I'm lazy, and I knows my anatomies. So I'm going to swoop in here, add a bit of thickness there, and go ahead and make the lips. Same down here, you want to make a swoop, you want lips there, you want them to pucker a bit. But not too much, because wolves don't know how to kiss. When you get down to the end of the jaw, don't keep going. You need to go down, just like I did in the 3/4 view. You need to add fur, because these things are fluffy. Just fur everywhere. Same thing here, along with the side, and the ears, also the same. I'm going to get back to you after I finish that up, and we'll cover up the side fluff and the back. The back is really, really fluffy. As soon as you finish the ear, you just want to do short little spikes all the way down. But you want to keep going, you want it to keep expanding. Now, as for the ears, usually people just do that and call it a day. I know I have more than enough times, but you want to do a little bit of spike to make it look like the fur is actually contradicting with each other. And that there gives a very definitive feature to your wolf until you realize you made a mistake. The ears, slightly different, but essentially the same. That's about what your wolf looks like. You don't need to have all this fur in the back. It just, I don't know, it helps give you more of a look, should you so desire. Now, the front view, again, super, super difficult. You definitely want to start with the nose on this one. Do a little bit of a line here, and that's going to tell you where your midline is. I know, no one knows what a midline is. I don't even know. I just made that up. But that's about where the middle of the nose is, and everything expands from the center of that nose, including the mouth. You don't want to see the bottom of the jaw most times. If you end up seeing the bottom of it, you don't see that much. So we're going to have these go back a little bit, and then they're going to loop down. Because the muzzle is a lot longer than it looks from this angle. It's slightly cartoonish, but that's a good thing. It's a frontal view, so you're not going to see that much. Everything else is essentially the same, so I'm going to just walk through that, and get back to you when I'm done. And that there is a frontal view of a wolf, along with the profile and 3/4 view of both humans and animals, I suppose. Now, birds are a completely different story, and I will tell you right now, I hate them. I hate drawing birds. Because in this case, circle is not God. And that ticks me off to no extent. Birds do have a circle in them, obviously. But they've got an oval shape. They're a bit of an egg-shaped. They are an ellipse. And instead of having instead of having two directional lines, they have three. One for the direction they're facing, one for the angle they're facing, and another for where the eyes go. Because if you don't have that, you have no idea where they go. So I'm going to sketch out the birds real quick because I was too lazy to do that earlier. And I hate myself for it. I'll be back. Birds. Hate them. They look really simple when you look at them, but then when you start drawing, you're like, man, I can't do this. It's too hard. It took me years before I was able to figure out. I'm going to walk you through the profile alone, and this will help you determine just how hard it is to draw birds. I'm just going to skip through the frontal view because I hate frontal views and they look so stupid. So, profiles. Yay! We have the beak here, the beak, and the forehead take up a majority of the space. But again, you want to start with the eyes. Bird eyes are a lot different from human and animal eyes because they actually have two separate lids. I mean, you can get away with connecting them like humans and animals, but you can't really do that with birds. Because when you look really close, you can actually see there is a definitive line between them. And here's another thing. Their their irises are huge. They cover up their entire face. And they don't have any eyebrows to speak of, but I'm just going to give them one because I feel like it. Well, there's the eye. And we are going to do the head now. Again, you do not always want to follow your outline because your outline can and does lie to you. Had I followed the outline, this thing would look more like a beheaded zombie. And as much as we all love zombies, I'm not a fan of drawing them. A bird's nose is actually way up here, so it's not in the beak, as some people for strange reasons think. It is actually at the end of the beak. Yes, the end of the beak. Right up by the flesh. And of course, the beak also has a definitive mark on it, as well as some shape or form of lips. You can tell where the lips end and the beak begins. Don't get me wrong, birds have two separate beaks. But I just really hate drawing them. I swear he's smirking at me. I don't like it at all. Birds are very difficult to draw. I mean, exceedingly difficult to draw, but I managed to get this one done for you without speeding through, thankfully. See, they look easy. They take not a lot of lines, period. But they are really, really hard to draw. And now for the frontal view, and as I promised, I will skip through it.
Ta-da! Bird is done. Birds, animals, people. 3 very difficult topics, but all of which can be done, and with practice, can actually be done with ease. All of these were done in a slightly different style from what I'm used to. I usually do a semi-realistic, which is what I did for the wolves. But again, a lot of people do it different ways. I even drew the human in completely different styles. These 2 views here, they were done completely different from this one. And that is about it. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed my tutorial. And if you guys have any more questions on how to draw anything specific, such as hair or body, this is just the basics, as in the head, the nose, the eyes, and a little bit of hair. If you have any more questions or requests for tutorials, let me know, and I will get right on it as soon as possible. Until then, I will see you guys later. Troublesome Twins 829 out.